I want to talk about Nines and Jim Jones. That's the big conversation that's going on. Or if you let Jim Jones tell it, Jim Jones and Nas, right? If you let Jim Jones tell it, I gotta put his name. First, Jim Jones and Nas. I spoke about it earlier this week, started with a clip. The whole thing started with a clip on McChay of a young man who may have been about 22 years old saying that to him. Jim Jones was more influential than Nas was for somebody to his generation. Then Jim got asked about that on The Fat Joe and Jedica's podcast, and Jim was just advocating for himself and his influence, and then, he started going down to comparing, saying that he's more influential to this generation than Nas. Then he said he had more Billboard hits than Nas. And he walked that back. Then he followed up with an IG post and said that we all fell for his bait and his streams go up every time he goes viral, and he's teaching older artists a new lesson in marketing, and he said he could wrap circles around Nas. Still, like all of that then is still, but also he could wrap circles around Nas. Then he went on the Bad Fuel podcast. We talked about that. I'm just recapping what we tell about that. But then this week he went on the Bad Fuel podcast with Esso with Heineken. Shout out to those brothers and DJ Clue. And then he tripled down. I'm going to read a quote from this. He says, "What I did for Nas probably never has been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life. Last time he was in some like this was with him and Jay." So now Jim is saying that Nas has never been this viral, and then he said he'll put up one okay on a battle to any rap from Nas or just any rapper from his era. He said that the game changed from the 90s. This is all in the Badfield podcast. He said the game changed from the 90s when Nas first started. Nas's success didn't carry over to the 2000s, and he didn't finish the mission before I get into that cause. I'm going to refute all of that. Believe me, I'm a refute all of that. But y'all know me. I'm fair and I'm nuanced and I'm balanced, and I want to give this disclaimer. I've always liked Jim as an artist. I thought Jim was the guy who no one expected to make it. Cam and Joel's at a Dipset were naturally gifted as rappers. They were technically better MCs, but Jim worked and really made himself into a rapper and hustled and made himself into a force. Jim definitely has a better discography than Joel's. Arguable that he has a better solo discography than Cam. Cam is the better rapper. I enjoy Jim's discography more than I enjoy Cam, and I could still listen to Jim rap today and enjoy it more than I enjoy Camp, right? Jim got albums that I think are dope. On My Way to Church, the Harlem album Diary of a Summer Hustler's Poem El Capo, which was a newer album, I thought was dope. Wasted Talent was a dope album. Jim got classic records like Balling. And you know what he did on the mixtape scene with Bird Gang and that whole mixtape era with Max B and Stack. And Bird Gang. Money is a classic joint, especially if from New York. Love Me No More is a classic joint, especially if you're from NY. These are like classics in the city and on the street. As far as fashion, Jim definitely influenced the way people dress. I ain't into taking nobody's credit away from them. You know what I mean? And everyone should feel like they're the best. So that part of it I get. But this current run that Jim is on right now, according to what Jim is saying at the moment, he sounds wild and nuts, and it's all rubbish. But there is a significant difference. There is a huge difference between Jim Jones and Nas. It's not even the same conversation as far as going viral. The Hate Me Now video, in which he was portrayed on a cross with a crown of thorns. And that video on MTV, and the controversy that resulted and actually caused the big tension between Diddy and Stout. That was viral before viral, the Big QB chain. You know what I mean when I say that the Big QB chain was viral before viral? Before becoming viral, Belly Viral was Viral Ether, defeating Jay-Z in the battle. And then the I Declare War concert with him and Jay getting back together was the equivalent of going viral. Marrying Kiss and divorcing Kiss. You understand what I mean, when I say that the entire N album went viral because he would even call his album Wassa, big deal when he said hip-hop was dead. And it enraged a lot of people. Now it won a Grammy for King's Disease. I haven't even begun to discuss his strongest suit yet, which is the music. It's not everything else that comes with it. It's the music and the classics that he's given us, as well as him as an MC and a storyteller. The impact of the content of the music, how he influenced MCs lyrically for generations, and how he changed the sound of New York in the 1990s. You understand what I mean when I say that before Nas ever did dash effects? Like even, and you all know Jay is my favorite. Jay was rapping quickly. You know, it was more of that sped up flow, and Nas sort of evened everything out. Then, shortly after Illmatic, Big came out with Ready to Die, and New York had a different sound. You know, man, Nas is unquestionably influential. Jim is talking nonsense, and he's actually just talking to get us talking and to make this video go viral. And I know that, but here's the point of today's video because it's so funny. This is the same guy who, in the Street Dreams video, was acting out a scene from the movie Casino, dressed like Sam Ross, and got actors from the movie to appear in his music video. Now he's working and collaborating to try and win a bid to bring a casino to Times Square in New York City. And one thing I just want to say about this is that it's a famous BI. Whoever thought that hip-hop would take it this far, Moment J, is also putting his bid in. That's a you. Heard me talk about this before, whoever thought that hip-hop would take it this far. I think is the best lyric in hip-hop ever because we have so many moments when hip-hop keeps raising the ceiling so I can recognize the greatness of that. I don't know what it means for the community. I don't know how the community benefits from it, and they may that I'm truly saying. I don't know. There may be plans to slice out whatever this $5 billion plan is that too, to help housing or to help whatever. I don't know. And that is a separate conversation, and that's an important conversation. But as far as hip-hop artists, as far as black men being able to do business on this level, particularly hip-hop artists, particularly somebody like a Nas or Jay-Z being able to do it, it's pretty amazing. So I say all that to say this, but this is the difference. Like right now, Jim is on a podcast run, doing podcast rounds, trolling, trying to create these viral moments and saying to two older artists, look, I'ma teach y'all how to go viral by just saying whatever, right? This is what Jim is doing, and this is what Nas is doing as well. Jim is saying, I got 100,000 to battle anybody. I put 100,000 up. That's nuts. Watch the video to see what Nas is doing.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now, it's time to invest in us. Because the future doesn't ask for permission, it moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
Furthermore, this is because in 2024, Nas joined Resorts World Casino for a $5 billion casino expansion in Queens. So they've already been working on this thing. It's just a different level. And you know, when we're having the music conversation, and I truly mean this, money doesn't matter in the music conversation. When it comes to music, like, money don't matter, your skills matter, but Nas wins the music conversation hands down, like versus Jim Nas, one of the greatest to ever do it, top 5 on everybody list. Arguably, he should be one of the greatest to ever do it. So he beats Jim in the music conversation. It's not even close musically. And Jim is talking about all these other things like going viral, and impact and influence, and so he's introduced this. This is what I'm saying is a different type of influence, and when you just look at the trailer and the thing that Nas dropped today, he's just playing on a different C&T level as far as influence. You know what I'm saying? And again, I say this with nuance, not to take anything away from Jim, because I think Jim has accomplished is great seeing from where he started. Like, I can't downplay what he's accomplished, but he can't downplay what? He can't downplay what Nas has done and what Nas means to the game. You just sound crazy doing that. So you want your props, you want people to recognize. You're for the barriers that you broke down, but you tear somebody else down for theirs. It's all hip-hop, though. It's all competitive. I get it, and it's all in the name of going viral, but he just sound crazy. Those are just my thoughts. I just found it intriguing that Jim is making the podcast because he is working to construct a casino in New York. It's just a different conversation, in my opinion, but please share your thoughts with me in the comments section. Thank you very much for the $40,000, and until the next time, peace.